think never in all of human history has a motorbike needed an aftermarket exhaust than this bike. So here we are again at Ducati in Bristol, and Harley Davidson as well. And I'm going to take a bike out today. Now I've got a choice between the beautiful Desert X or the insane Hypermotard 698 single. Wonder which one it'll be. What do you reckon? Here we are with the Ducati Hypermotard 698 Mono RVE. A very handsome little hooligan. A bike I'd wanted to ride for some time, but I was intimidated by the height. And if it wasn't for the fact I took the 900 GS out the other day, I wouldn't have taken this out. But I found my confident feet with my tiny little legs on these big bikes. Now this bike here, as it stands, is about £12,000. Stock they're at 10.9, sorry. This has this sticker pack and a quick shift, a reasonable option I think. The bike doesn't weigh anything, the brakes are punchy, it is very good high up in the revs, a very simple dash, not a lot to see, which makes a nice change to be fair. Simple switch gear, a seat made of a scaffold board I think, and a phenomenal little bike. You do feel, at least I do, very very tall up on it. You can't ignore how tall you feel up on it, at least I'm not used to sitting that high. The question I have for this bike is who's buying it? Because if you're in your late teens, early 20s, there's possibly a vague chance you can't afford it. So you're out of the market. So for me, this bike is, if you genuinely just need a fair weather bike to hoon about everywhere locally, this is the bike to buy. It is crying out for a proper race system. It sounds terrible with stock exhaust, and you can feel how much it's throttled. It just, set of termies on this, it would be insane, and you could annoy everybody you pass, which would be lots of fun. The bike sits well higher up in the rev range, obviously. It's very blap blap blap, as I keep saying these days. But yeah, it's a fun bike and not intimidating despite its height, because it is so light. I love the design of the wheels. They're very very nice. Obviously a tail tidy would sort that back end out. I love that shape there. Bar ends would be nice. Oh, a cracking bike. It hasn't disappointed, even though it sounds crap. And of all the bikes I've taken out in the last couple of weeks, if I needed a fair weather bike or a third bike, which I certainly don't, this would be the one to have. What I don't see is it doesn't feel like the old big singles, the DRs or the SLR 660 Super Single. It doesn't feel like that. But maybe again, with the Euro 5 or Euro 6, I'm not sure this is, with the emissions, it sort of throttled it. And with that, with a full race system on, it would be insane. It was incredibly flicky, really sure-footed, despite its lightness, incredibly sure-footed in the corners. And definitely one to have a go on. So if you're getting back to biking after years away, or you're not planning to travel to Antarctica and you're going to stay local, this is a bike to get. 50 miles each blast, maybe 100 miles for the money. It's hard to look past this one really. let's take it back to the dealership, and I'm quite far away. I've just done a load of miles. I've probably done 30 miles of all lanes. Yeah, I like this, but we'll take it back on the motorway and see how it goes there. I'm sure it'll be fine. See you back there. So before we head back, let's take a look at the seater height. So we're back from the ride. Now, it's always interesting to me how I feel on the ride out. It's always different to how I feel on the ride back. And I think never in all of human history has a motorbike needed an aftermarket exhaust than this bike. And I've just checked, they do a full system, and it's £2,000, and I should imagine it will transform that bike because it needs it. My only question is who's the market for this bike? I wouldn't swap my Monster for one, but if I didn't have my Monster, would I pick one? If I'm only doing 30-40 miles on only very hot days, maybe. But that's not to say it's not a great bike. It just needs that exhaust system desperately, desperately, desperately. Everything else about it is cracking. The gearbox is nice and smooth. It's sat on the motorway fine. It's interesting getting used to very sort of traditional forks where you put on the front and it dives a little bit because obviously the GS gets rid of all that. But a simple little bike and a lot of fun. It is, as I said earlier, a very handsome hooligan. It just needs to sound like a hooligan, because I think you can ride that bike at 60 mile an hour almost everywhere, just hooning about. The problem is you'll also want to do it when it's 30 mile an hour, and that's where you'll get done. But thanks to Stuart at Ducati again for letting me have a go on that bike. Yeah, good fun. Worth a look for sure. Cheers.